Okay, hello, Year 11. We are continuing our videos of revision to help out with the 8 set works. Today, Mr. Morgan, myself, and
Mr. Morgan.
we are here to, we're going to talk you through a little bit about Henry Purcell's Music for a While. Following the format of our other videos, we'll give you a little overview to start with, and then we'll go through with a little bit more and kind of detail and analysis. So Henry Purcell is regarded as probably one of the kind of most well-known English Baroque composers. So we're in the Baroque era of music, and much like Bach, Purcell was often kind of like a bit of a hired gun. Members of the royal family would often, other kind of fairly well-known or prominent socialites would kind of, be asking him to compose music for various ceremonies and occasions. In the case of Music for a While, this is some music that he has set to poems by the poet and author John Dryden.
Yeah, John Dryden had written a play and then asked Purcell to provide the music to go on either in the background of the play or in some cases actually involved songs being sung by the characters. The song Music for a While was composed in 1692 and is the second of 4 movements from the music to the play Oedipus. Okay, so that was the play that he'd written the music for.
Okay, Oedipus, rather tragic kind of storyline is that he kind of kills his father and without realizing it marries his own mum. Pretty out there. When he discovers the truth, he plucks out his eyes and then commits suicide. The song Music for a While is sang at the end of Act 1, Scene 3, and is sang by the priest trying to summon the ghost of the dead king.
Okay, so this was originally scored for a voice and then a basso continuo. The piece exists in many different arrangements now, but the version we've been listening to in class is of a female singer. However, if you can imagine, this piece was originally written for a priest to be singing back in the 1600s, so it would have been a male character, and it would have been a countertenor that originally would have sang this.
Okay, so let's start looking at some of the basics of this song then. So let's begin with the structure. It is in ternary form, that is A, B, A. And the keys, essentially, the kind of tonal centers, section A is in A minor, and section B goes to the relative major. So it's in C major in section B.
Yeah, the harmony is incredibly diatonic, which means it's based on the scale of the key that we're in, and the harmony within that is found in that scale. So we would describe it as diatonic, but also the use of functional harmony. So that's primarily using chords 1, 4, and 5.
Okay, it's very slow, and it's in 4/4, which means there are 4 crotchet beats in every bar.
One of the biggest things to remember about this piece is the use of the ground bass. So this is a continuous bass line, but we know that as a basso continuo, but this is a repeating bass line where the notes are constantly repeating around in a cycle throughout the piece of music.
What's notable in this piece is that the basso continuo is only 3 bars long, which is an odd number. That's going to kind of lead to some kind of rather interesting things as we analyze the piece. Finally, we have the bass viol and left hand of the harpsichord as part of the basso continuo. The right hand of the harpsichord is playing what we call a realization, which means an improvised accompaniment to the melody, which will often kind of provide some counterpoint within the performance. The texture is homophonic, melody led homophony.
Yeah, the song is the main focus throughout the entire piece, and at no point does that ever get questioned.
Perfect. So what we'll do now is we will start the track and do a little bit of a closer analysis. Okay, so we're listening here to Henry Purcell's Music for a While. First thing to note is the 3-bar ground bass upon which the piece is built on. Notice it is made exclusively of quavers, half-beat notes, and the right hand of the harpsichord is playing an elaborate realization of kind of sort of elaborated melody, which you can see is actually quite busy before the singer enters.
The singer comes in the 4th bar. This signals the beginning of section A. The vocals are mainly syllabic, which means each syllable has its own note. There is some imitation in the right hand of the harpsichord. You can see that in the 3rd bar of section A. Looking at the bottom line, the repeated words and the use of rests make the words stand out more.
Okay, so we start immediately with a large melismatic moment on the word wandering there, and word painting, lots of notes in between those syllables. Melismatic is when there are multiple notes set to one syllable. Notice also there's an imitation between the vocal and the harpsichord.
There's some word painting in that first line, where actually we hear some rare dissonance on the word pain. There is an E which clashes with the harmony, which helps to accentuate the word pain. This dissonance and resolution also goes through into the second line with the word eased, which is repeated 3 times. The part of the syllable ease, which has some dissonance, and then the D part of the word where there is resolution.
Okay, we're getting D sharps in the bass line here, which is modulating the passage into the key of E minor. However, it doesn't last very long as we get to the bottom of that first page there, where it modulates back into G major, or into G major, which is the relative major of E minor.
On that bottom line, there is also some word painting, a rising major kick pattern, while they're singing about trying to free the dead. The melisma and word painting continues onto the second line, where you have the word eternal stretched out for a long time. There is also a descending sequence towards the end of that bar, which has some interjections and swapping phrases from the harpsichord.
As we move into section B, we've moved into C major. There's a short kind of tierce Picardy, which means to go into a major resolution into A major as the voice comes in on the word snakes.
The melody starts on the second bar of the B section. The vocal or the ground bass actually throughout the piece don't start or end together.
Okay, so as we move on to the final page, we are back into the A section. This is a kind of a much shorter version of the A section, and we're back into the tonic key of A minor.
This part of the song can be referred to as a da capo aria. Stylistically, what would happen is the singer would embellish with ornaments their part in various places, but they would always do this during the final section or the final repeat of the main theme.
Okay, and as we get to the very end, you'll notice the melody in the bass line eventually resolved at the same time on an A minor chord. You'll notice that kind of shimmering line next to the note. That's because the final harpsichord kind of plays it as a broken arpeggiated chord. This is mainly because the harpsichord can't play sustained notes.